We can now proceed to the examination of item 15C, follow-up on audits and evaluations on the status of implementation of the 24 recommendations of the evaluation by UNESCO's Internal Oversight Service of the impact and the effectiveness of the 2003 Convention and of the 4 recommendations of the audit report of the working methods of all 6 culture conventions. I am pleased to see in the document that good progress has been achieved in response to these recommendations. But let me say no more and give the floor to Madame Duval to present this item to us.
Thank you. This is an item that will be recurrent in the committee, in the agenda of the committee. We plan to report on the follow-up and status of actions taken in response to any evaluation or audit that touches upon the Convention. The document is organized in a table format and has 2 parts. First, the follow-up on the evaluation by our Internal Oversight Service of the impact and effectiveness of the 2003 Convention, which is covered in Part A. And you will remember in 2013 in Baku, the committee adopted a lot of decisions as a follow-up of this evaluation. And of course, not all these decisions can be adopted in 1 minute. So we are making every progress, but we are reporting on the progress we are making. The second part is the follow-up on the audit by the same internal evaluation oversight office of the working methods of all the culture conventions, which was less important in the number of recommendations, which doesn't mean that the recommendations were not important also. So the table summarizes the planned action with timelines and status of such action plan in response to each of the recommendations of this evaluation and of this audit. Many of the recommendations as regard the evaluation are directed to states. So in the table, we concentrate mainly on the actions taken by the Secretariat to support states, such as the creation of revision of new training material, publications, aide-memoirs, guidance notes, forms, etc., as well as the organization of workshops, consultations, etc. While I do not mention each recommendation, I would like to bring to your attention to recommendation 13 of the evaluation that reads, give priority to international assistance requests within the sealing of files of the Convention mechanism. And as you may very well remember, this idea was proposed by the Secretariat as a draft decision to the committee at its 8th session, but was not endorsed by the committee as it was considered to the sovereignty right of states to decide presenting nomination over presenting international assistance. So they were in favor of supporting international assistance, but they didn't want to give precedence and they wanted to have still the choice of adapting their priorities. At the same time, as I did explain to you in several instances before in the week, more and more international assistance requests over $25,000 are going to the Bureau of the committee for approval. For example, the Mali and Côte d'Ivoire emergency assistance request. For example, the Sudan, where the committee requested to the state to submit a revised version to the Bureau. And this year, you delegated your authority to the Bureau to decide on the international assistance of Kenya once revised. With all this in mind, and in order to reduce the competition, in a way, of international assistance requests with nominations to the list, the Secretariat is proposing, in response also to recommendation 13, to amend the relevant paragraph of the operational directives and to increase from 25,000 to 100,000 the requests for international assistance that can be approved by the Bureau of the Committee, and present those amendments to the General Assembly during its 6th session in June 2016, if, of course, the committee approves them. In the case where the committee endorsed these amendments and the General Assembly approves them, state parties will be able to present requests for international assistance for more important projects to the Bureau as of 1st July, instead to the committee waiting for the deadline of 21st of March. This means that these requests will not be part of their quota within the ceiling of files of the Convention mechanism, and they can be submitted at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I now open the floor. Does anybody wish to take the floor? Okay. I think we all have agreed on this. Let us move now to the decision.
Belgium.
Oh, Belgium. I see Belgium. Belgium, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. First of all, I want to commend the Secretariat for the progress that was made regarding this very interesting evaluation. I would like to make a small intervention regarding this evaluation, but that is a bit larger, in fact. That is also reflecting, and I count on your indulgence on our work in the committee over the last 4 years. As you know, Belgium will leave the committee very soon, and we're on our last point of substance. So we would just like to share some observations that are mostly in regard to recommendations 8, 9, 10, and 16 of the document that is put in front of us. First of all, we want to say that the membership of the committee was really a very enriching experience, an extremely enriching experience, and I think we made a lot of progress, which is clear from this document. We also established an evaluation body, which was asked by the evaluation. So I think we really made a lot of progress. Also, the work of the Bureau in the last 4 years, I want to commend all the members of the Bureau, because I think we worked with diligence and in a very constructive spirit. The Belgian delegation in the last 4 years also tried making a few small contributions, mostly concentrating on, for example, the operational directives for sustainable development, but also the code of ethics, and we contributed to the capacity building strategy. But as we are leaving the committee right now, we feel we have a bit more liberty and freedom to speak, which we would like to use right now to raise some other points. I must say that during those 4 years, at some points, we did feel a little bit uncomfortable. And this especially during the discussions on the representative list. And I want to clarify this. I have the feeling that sometimes there's a sentiment in this room that we are discussing a World Heritage List, but we are not. We are not saying at any point that one element is better than another. We're not making a judgment on an element. And this is also why we don't examine the element during our discussions, but we examine the file. And this brings me to a clarification also on the Belgian position in the last 4 years and during these discussions, also relating to the recommendation here, recommendation 9, to clarify to state parties and other stakeholders all misconceptions regarding the purpose and the use of the representative list. Sometimes when talking to committee members, I feel that they felt that Belgium was maybe a bit too strict, too much focusing on the rules and on the files, but I think the only reason, and this is a point that I really want to make here, that we are doing this is because we really want to be consistent. We want to be consistent in our approach to all the files that are presented to us. I think we have the obligation here in this assembly to really treat everyone in the same way. We cannot say to one country, a big country or a small country, we cannot treat them in any different way because their capacities are, for example, different. We are a body of the UN. We have the duty of treating everyone equally. And my question to you, without really answering it myself, is have we always done that? I think this is also why we created this evaluation body, to really make sure that we have a consistent approach of all the evaluations, assessments we're making in this committee. And that being said, we of course realize that it's not easy to say no. It's never easy to say no. If we're looking at an element, there's communities behind, there's people behind. And they don't necessarily, of course, understand why we would take a decision to not to inscribe or to refer. So I can understand that there's sometimes it is for the committee members also a very difficult thing to do. And sometimes I think that as a committee we sometimes feel that although we are not, that we are judging the elements. But then I think we should be consistent, and if we would be judging the element, we should be inscribing everything, because we really can't make a judgment of the element itself. So if we find it difficult to apply our criteria consistently and in a consistent way, then Belgium would also be in favor of having a more open system. And for example, moving to a kind of Wikipedia listing in which we wouldn't have those strict criteria that might sometimes pose a difficulty to us. And this would also, I think, allow us to update this listing regularly. So this is just, while we're leaving the committee, an idea that we wanted to put forward. And then in closing, I would just like to look forward. Of course, we can support this draft decision. I think it's important to activate the mechanism of international assistance, and I think that the increasing the bureau ceiling is an excellent suggestion. We also want to reiterate the need, like it is mentioned here in the recommendations, to really promote the urgent safeguarding list and promote the capacity building, as well as the synergies between the conventions, between the different conventions, as it is mentioned in recommendation 16. And to come back just to the listing system and to take a look forward, of course we are not against listing, just to be clear. We're not against listing. But I feel that we're a bit in between two systems. We could have a closed system, which we have now with criteria and rules. We can have a very open system. And we feel that now we're a little bit in between. And if we look at the representative list, we have to keep an eye on what the representative list is exactly, which is mentioned in recommendation 9. It is a way of raising awareness. And it was mentioned early in the committee, but Shakira just tweeted about intangible cultural heritage to her 3 million followers. So I think we pretty much reached our goal in that regard. In closing, I would just like to reaffirm our full trust in the committee and the incoming members in the next General Assembly, and I reaffirm also our commitment to the work of intangible heritage that we will be supporting as an observer from now on. Thank you.
Thank you, Bajan, for explaining your position. I see Philippines want to take the floor. Does any committee member want to take the floor before Philippines? No. Philippines, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, and we'd just like to add our voice in support of this decision. As we were even talking about this with you this morning, we're very happy that international assistance can be more accessible, that the ceiling is increasing for assistance, and that the deadlines are more flexible. We truly appreciate that the Bureau of the Committee approved our request for international assistance. And lastly, we'd just like to support what the distinguished delegate of Belgium said. His very interesting idea about that the committee seems to be in between two systems, and maybe for future medium-term reflection, we need to see where do we think the ICH processes stand towards a more open, inclusive system or a stringent application of rules for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philippines. Does any other delegation want to take the floor on this matter? I see none. Please refer to document 15C and its draft decision in paragraph 9. Can we see it on the screen? Is there any proposals regarding this draft decision? I see none. Can we adopt the whole decision? Is there any objection to that? I see no objection. Seeing no objections, I therefore declare decision 10.com15c adopted. Thank you. Should we finish?
The floor. Dear colleagues and members of the committee, interpreters allow us to continue half an hour more. If you agree, we may take then the item 19, other business, linked to the Vietnamese question, so that you can finish the very substantive work this morning, and then you come back maybe a bit later than foreseen in the afternoon, if you would agree. Madam Chairperson, do you agree also to come back? Where is she? She's not there. Okay, so do you agree to continue? Okay, so if everybody agrees, Hungary?
Hungary, the floor is yours.
I'm just, of course, agree what Madam Secretary have said before. Just this decision, what we have taken before, was a little bit quick for me. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit tired. Just I would like to emphasize that the role what Belgium played in the committee, I think it was a very important. This kind of thinking, what they represent, was very appreciated by Hungary, and I think it's important to say that Belgium played a very important role concerning this thinking, what they mentioned before, and what the colleagues from Philippines said and emphasized for us. I think it's very important. So I really think that we are in a position between two kind of system, and we have to move forwards from to links or to right. Right now we are really in the middle, and I think it's not good. I just would like to raise these two things. We are in the middle, so we have to deal with it. And thanks for Belgium playing this very strict and concrete role in the committee.
Thank you, Hungary. Is there any other comment? I see none.